Anna had heard the stories 1,000 times. In every port, every trading post, every diplomatic gathering across the Galactic Council territories, someone would inevitably bring up the myths of human warriors. The tales were always the same. Humans who fought with primitive weapons, who refused to surrender even when facing impossible odds, who possessed some inexplicable fire that burned hotter than plasma cores. She found it amusing, honestly. Ridiculous, even. As a Valorian tactical analyst, Anna had studied warfare for 3 decades. Her species had perfected combat through mathematics, through probability matrices and tactical simulations. They won wars before the first shot was fired, through superior intellect and planning. The idea that some backwater species like humanity could pose any real threat was laughable. The humans had only joined the Galactic Council 15 standard years ago. They were newcomers, primitives who had barely mastered faster-than-light travel. Their military contributions to the Council's peacekeeping forces were minimal, relegated to support roles and perimeter duties. Another human myth? Anna's colleague Zareth asked as they walked through the orbital station's observation deck. Below them, the planet Korvath III smoldered, its atmosphere thick with the smoke of Zalarian raiders who had seized the colony. Apparently, Command is sending a human tactical team as part of the response force, Anna replied, her voice dripping with skepticism. I suppose we'll finally see if these warriors live up to their legends. Zareth's mandibles clicked in what passed for a chuckle among his kind. I give them 10 minutes before they request evacuation. The Zalarian raiders were no joke. They were a splinter faction of the Zil Empire, heavily armed with military-grade weaponry and holed up in the colony's central complex. The building was a fortress, its walls reinforced with durasteel, its corridors a maze designed to favor defenders. Preliminary scans showed at least 200 raiders inside, holding 300 colonist hostages. Anna watched from the command ship as the assault teams assembled. The Valorian shock troops moved with practiced precision, their powered armor gleaming under the harsh lights. The Krell heavy infantry checked their plasma cannons methodically. And then there were the humans. 5 of them, just 5. They wore armor that looked almost primitive compared to the other species. Dark matte finish with minimal energy shielding. Their weapons were a mixture of projectile firearms and what appeared to be close-quarters combat tools. One of them, a man with dark hair and calm eyes, carried what looked like an ancient chemical explosive launcher along with his rifle. His name, Anna learned from the briefing, was Oliver. This is suicide, she muttered. 5 humans with that equipment against 200 Zalarians? The mission commander, a grizzled Krell veteran, glanced at her. The humans volunteered for point entry. Said they specialize in hostage situations. Anna pulled up Oliver's file on her datapad. His service record was unusual. Multiple commendations, but all from operations that had been classified. Combat awards from conflicts she'd never heard of. And a single note in his psychological evaluation that made her pause. Subject demonstrates abnormal calm under extreme stress. Recommended for high-risk operations. The assault began at dawn. The Valorian and Krell teams established perimeter positions. Their heavy weapons trained on the building's exits. Standard protocol dictated a siege approach. Wearing down the raiders through attrition and negotiation, the humans had other ideas. Anna watched through the tactical feed as Oliver's team approached the building. They moved differently than other soldiers she'd observed. There was no hesitation, no careful advancement. They flowed like water, each member instinctively aware of the other's positions. The entrance was heavily fortified. 2 Zalarian sentries in powered armor guarded the main door, their energy shields active. Oliver didn't slow down. He raised his explosive launcher and fired a single round. The projectile struck not the sentries, but the wall beside them. The explosion shattered the durasteel, and before the dust even settled, Oliver was through the gap, his rifle barking short, controlled bursts. Both sentries dropped in less than 3 seconds. Impossible, Anna whispered. Those shields should have... Kinetic weapons, the Krell commander said, a note of respect in his voice. Primitive but effective. Energy shields don't stop solid projectiles. The tactical feed split into 5 screens as each human's helmet camera went active. Anna found herself focused on Oliver's perspective. He moved through the corridor like a ghost, his weapon always pointing exactly where his eyes looked. When Zalarian raiders appeared, he didn't freeze or take cover. He attacked. It was the most brutal, efficient violence Anna had ever witnessed. Oliver would fire 3 shots, head, chest, and the target would drop. If enemies were too close, he transitioned to a wicked-looking blade that appeared in his hand as if by magic. The combat was personal, visceral in a way that sterile energy weapons could never be. But what truly shocked Anna wasn't the violence. It was Oliver's face. He was smiling. Not the manic grin of bloodlust, but something else. Confidence. Certainty. The absolute conviction that he would win, that failure wasn't even a possibility his mind entertained. "All teams, we've located the hostages." Oliver's voice crackled over the comm. "3rd floor central chamber. Heavy resistance. We're going in." The feed from Oliver's helmet showed what heavy resistance meant. The Zalarians had set up a kill zone, overlapping fields of fire with at least 40 raiders dug into defensive positions. The hostages were huddled in the center, terrified. Any tactical analyst would call it a stalemate. Assault would result in hostage casualties. Negotiation would take days. Oliver's team didn't hesitate. They attacked from 3 directions simultaneously, using grenades to create chaos and smoke to obscure sightlines. Oliver went straight through the middle, his movements almost choreographed. He slid under incoming fire, rolled behind cover, and popped up to eliminate targets with mechanical precision. When a Zalarian raider grabbed a hostage as a shield, Oliver's response was instantaneous. 1 shot, threading the needle between the hostage's head and shoulder to strike the raider in the eye. The raider dropped. The hostage screamed but was unharmed. 8 minutes. That's how long it took Oliver's team to secure the hostages and neutralize 40 raiders. 8 minutes. When Oliver emerged from the building, escorting terrified colonists to safety, Anna found herself unable to look away. His armor was scorched and dented, blood splattered across the dark surface, none of it his own. He moved with the same calm efficiency as when he'd entered, as if he'd just completed a routine training exercise. Anna met him at the medical station, where he was getting his armor systems checked. Up close, she could see the lines around his eyes, the old scars on his hands. He noticed her staring and offered a slight nod. "You're Valorian," he said. It wasn't a question. "Tactical analyst, right? I've read your papers on siege warfare." "Good stuff." Anna's voice caught in her throat. How did you do that?" "The odds were impossible?" Oliver smiled. That same confident expression she'd seen on the feed. "Yeah, we get that a lot." He paused, checking the charge on his rifle's magazine. "The thing about humans, we don't really care about odds. We care about what needs to be done. Those people needed saving, so we saved them. But the risk is just another variable." Oliver interrupted gently. "Look, I know other species see us as reckless. Maybe we are, but we've been fighting each other for our entire history. Wars over resources, territory, ideology, religion, you name it. We've perfected the art of killing, and then we had to perfect the art of saving because we're also the only species stubborn enough to run into danger when everyone else is running away." He shouldered his rifle and prepared to rejoin his team. Before leaving, he turned back to Anna. "The myths you've heard? They're not myths. They're just Tuesday for us." Anna watched him walk away. Her certainty shattered like the Durasteel walls Oliver had breached. She'd spent 3 decades studying warfare, and in 8 minutes a human had taught her that some things couldn't be quantified in tactical matrices. She pulled up the after-action report on her datapad, but her hands were shaking. The legends weren't exaggerations. If anything, they didn't go far enough. Humanity wasn't just another species in the Galactic Council. They were something the galaxy had never seen before. Warriors who fought not because they were bred for it or programmed for it, but because they chose to. Because when confronted with impossible odds, their response wasn't to calculate probability, it was to attack. That night, as Anna reviewed the tactical footage for the 100th time, she realized something profound. Every other species in the galaxy had evolved past their primitive violent instincts. Humans had refined theirs into an art form, and the galaxy would never be the same.